I am getting so much hotter.
What is the mindset of youth?
Where I am on a journey to continue to do things that make me feel like a vibrant woman and not a forgotten relic.
Who are the women that got older and never had children or never got married and are stoked about it?
We're not allowed to feel that way about ourselves unless we look like the 19-year-old Playboy model.
Hello, gorgeous. Welcome to Vortex Vision, the show where you are the star, and I'm your host, Gala Darling. In this episode, we're investigating the idea of getting hotter, more powerful, and sexier as you get older, and it is going to be a juicy, finger-licking good episode. In this episode, I'm gonna interview one of my very dear friends who really inspires me to see aging through a completely different lens. I'm gonna take a very special class and probably look silly, but I think it's gonna inspire you that you're never too old to start something new. I'm gonna answer some calls on the High Vibe hotline from some of our audience members, and we're gonna do some tapping to step into our hottest, most powerful, most badass older selves. I remember being a kid and looking at women in their 40s and feeling like they seemed so old. But now it's like you can be 40 and still be absolutely slamming and kind of acting like a 20-year-old. The definitions of age have changed so much, and the way that we're like expected to act have changed so much. And we really have a lot more freedom now than we ever did before. You don't have to wear a boxy sweater and shuffle off to the retirement home because you had your 40th birthday. And in fact, when I look around at the women I know who are 40 plus, they are so badass. They leave 20-year-olds in the dust. So I vote that we decide that the older we get, the more powerful we become. And I have to say that has been my experience. I got engaged just after my 40th birthday, and I'm telling you, like, I've never felt more confident in myself, more good about who I am or what I contribute to the world. I've never had so much confidence, and I think that this is available for all of us if we choose it. Because what's our other option? We're just gonna shuffle off to the grave? I don't fucking think so. So let's get into this. Let's celebrate getting older and recognize this is a unique privilege that not everybody has. Every day above ground is a good day. So let's party. I am sitting here with Sheila Kelly, body whisperer and founder of S Factor. And she is a woman who inspires me so much in the way that she moves through the world, the way that she works with other women, and the way that she shows up in her full glory all the time. Like just bringing her full glory, her full essence all the time. Thank you for being here, Sheila.
Hey, nice to be here, Gala. Thank you for having me.
Oh my God. So the subject of this episode is all about getting better, getting hotter, becoming more confident as we age. And I'd love to hear a little bit about your journey with that.
Hmm, God. Oh my God. If I had the confidence in my 20s that I have now, forget about it. I'd be president of the United States. Well, let's not get into that conversation. But I can't tell you what, well, so my passion is I have several passions, but they all have to do with primal embodiment, right? Coming back into the feminine, full feminine expression through the body and full masculine expression through the body, knowing your own masculine, feminine energy within and understanding how masculine and feminine energy works in the world outside in your relationships. But I started out, and where my deepest passion is helping women, guiding women into fullest expression of their journey in this body on this planet through life. Fullest expression. Nothing is left hidden inside. You leave it all on the mat, you come out and you are just living to 100% of your potential through your body, through your movement, through your emotional expression, through your erotic expression. Again, it goes back into being fully and reclaiming fully the animal of you. That's it, girl. That's my passion.
I love that. And how old were you when you really started to take this seriously?
38.
38. Okay. Because I know that you were working as an actress and you took a role that really unlocked something for you.
I did. I didn't actually just take a role, Gala. I actually produced a film, wrote the film. So
Oh,
because when I was in my 20s and I did a movie with it was a movie with this great Scottish director named Bill Forsyth, and I played a call girl. And so I went to strip clubs because it's a, you know, it's the sex workers world, and I wanted to understand and see what it was to be a sex worker, because I'm super shy and probably not going to do that because that's just not my jam. But I went in there to the strip clubs in my 20s, and I fell so in love with the movement that I saw these women doing. Some of these women were just breathtaking, and it goes beyond the movement even. It was like something was emanating out of these dancers that you can't quite put words to it. It was like my jaw dropped, my breath inhaled, like, I want to feel like they look. I want to
mm,
feel how they felt to me. So completely in ownership of their beauty, their radiance, their power. They just felt so friggin' confident. So I set about producing a film, which took me 7 years to get going. So it was called Dancing at the Blue Iguana, where I actually got to play a stripper
mhm.
on stage. And I actually went into the clubs in the LA area, out in the valley, and I learned the movement, and I dissected the movement. But it wasn't that. I was able to imitate them, but I didn't feel the thing that I had seen until I had this turning point moment. And I call it my unkinking moment. And I was at Cheetah's Strip Club on Sunset Boulevard in LA. And I was up on stage like 10 a.m. before they opened. I was rehearsing, and I'd been up on that stage for like an hour and a half. And I was holding onto the pole, and I was, you know, trying to imitate what I'd seen the dancers do. And I had a stripper mentor named Devin. And I was doing hip circles, and Ba Wada Ba, that Kid Rock was playing.
I love this. Like that beautifully sets the scene.
I'm playing the whole thing out for you so you can feel it with me, right? Feel it with me. And my stripper mentor, Devin, screams over the music, "Stick your hip out further." And I was like, it's out as far as it can go, because my body just didn't move that way. I'd come to peace with the fact that I was kind of linear in my movement.
Mm.
And she goes, "You look like the straight edge of a razor. Stick your hip out. God damn it." And I was so tired at that point that I just gave up. I just went, I'm just exhaled. And I said, and as I exhaled and I gave up and I let go of all this muscle, my hip all of a sudden unkinked, and it popped out, and kind of like, you know, a garden hose that's kinked and then unkinked suddenly. I had this surge of energy move from the bottom of my body all the way up out the top of my head. It was like a brush fire, like an electrical brush fire in my body. It was life changing. That moment was life changing, because what I had done, Gala, is I had unlocked my hips from maybe a lifetime of being locked up, of being shut down. And
Mhm.
what was shutting my hips down was shame, right?
Mhm.
I broke through, but not by forcing it, not by pushing it. The more I pushed it, the less my body would unlock. But when
Mm.
I exhaled and I said, "This is just the way it is," my hip said, "No, it's not. Watch." And then I just was able to move and free myself. And so I spent the rest of the film unkinking, unlocking, unblocking my body. And what I was unlocking was erotic energy that had been just shut down, emotional energy that had been frozen into my joints and my fascia.
Mm.
And I became what I call flow through. I became like a you know those wind puppets that fly in the wind. And I became so open that my energy, life was moving through my body effortlessly, and energy was vibrating in every cell of my body.
And what was the first change in the way you were interacting with the world that you noticed when you
Oh,
started to use your body differently?
That's a really great question. My God. Well, here's the thing. Uh, that moment on stage at Cheetahs, my unkinking changed my whole life. And I
Mm,
didn't know it yet. I was like, oh, cool, I'm gonna look okay dancing in this movie. But
right.
what happened was I started to notice that the freedom, the freedom that I had found in my body, the unlocking was starting to ripple out into every other part of my body. And I was expanding, and everything in my life started changing from that moment forward. And I thought to myself, well, how the hell does this happen? What's this? This is weird. This is amazing that I'm unlocking my body and then my life is changing. My relationship was getting better.
Hmm.
My marriage, which is my marriage that I'm still in, which I thought was going to end at that time. It was getting better. My friendships were getting better. Things were effortlessly coming to me. Jobs, money, success, accolades were just effortlessly magnetizing to this new energy that I had unlocked. So I remembered a book I had read 20 years earlier, 10 years earlier, called Think and Grow Rich.
Hmm.
Napoleon Hill. Chapter 11 is The Mystery of Sex Transmutation. And then I reread it and I went, oh, holy fudge. What I had done inadvertently is I had stumbled into the how. I had transmuted all of this locked up energy in my body into life, into my day to day life. And I was using erotic energy to live a full, embodied, vivid life. So, hey, Napoleon Hill was right. You can transmute energy into life force energy.
Hmm.
And that's what happened. And it was really quite stunning to it took me years to realize what all this was that was happening. Yeah.
Yeah. How old were you when you started S Factor?
I would say I started the movie I shot and I was 38.
Hmm.
I started right after I gave birth to my second child because I got pregnant during the filming because I had been rehearsing my lap dancing skills on my husband.
I tried doing an inverted, like putting my head between my fiance's legs and
And
flipping up
yeah.
last night, and I almost broke his neck, but it's the hardest I've laughed in so long. It was, I took a video of it and we just keep laughing at it. It's the funniest thing I've ever seen.
Okay, I need to see that video.
I'll send it to you.
Thank you.
I'll send
Um,
it to you.
yeah, what was the question?
The question was, when did you start S Factor?
Oh,
Like
I
what
started as
point?
factor at around 40, 39, 40.
Wow, okay. Yeah. I mean, it's amazing the things that we come to around. I feel like 40 is a time when things
Oh,
really start to unlock for us.
yeah.
And like you said, if you had known what you know now when you were 20, you would be running the world. It's
Yeah. Yes.
unbelievable.
It really is quite, the 40s to me is when life begins.
Yeah.
Truly, truly, because we stumble through life trying to figure out how to do this adult thing, how to fit into a world that is very, very adverse to the feminine being in full voice. The world wants to keep the feminine in a box and safe
Yes.
and quiet. So when you get to a certain age, which was for me 38, where you realize that that's all a lie and that there's so much more potential in me, and I know this is true of other women because it was true of me, I knew that there were parts of me that weren't used. There were parts of me that hadn't been seen, hadn't been experienced, hadn't been loved, hadn't been expressed. But when I had that unkinking moment on the stage, all of a sudden, and then I knew that I had other parts of my body to open and release through overt movement.
Mm.
That's when I went, oh my God, this is truly life. Unfurling into your fullest expression and being seen for it, being loved for it, being accepted for it. There's nothing on the planet that can prepare you for that. when you've grown up in a world that tells you to constantly shh, don't dress like that, Gala. Don't wear that color, Gala. Don't put those on your arms, Gala. Don't.
Mm-hmm.
And when you stop listening to the DONT and you start realizing that that is just a tool that society uses to keep you quiet, and you start to go, well, what if I totally just released into my fullest expression?
Right.
That's when life begins.
Mm.
Whenever you figure that out. So, and I welcome women in at any age to come and learn from me.
Yeah. And that's what you're doing. You are showing them that these things can be dismissed and how beautiful life can be once you dismiss them.
Absolutely. Oh, yes. Mosquitoes snap them, drop them dead at the carpet, just like no more.
Yeah.
No more will anybody, because this is it, right? This is it. There's going to come a time, and I'm not getting morose here, but there's going to come a time when you and your body are going to separate.
Mm-hmm.
Your body's going to stop and you're going to go somewhere else. But for this period of time, for this beautiful, short, beautiful life we have, isn't it imperative that we all have the opportunity to live to the fullest of our voice and our radiance and
Yeah.
our movement?
And how many of us are just moving through life like a head on a platter?
I would say most of us are,
Yes.
well, I say from the armpits up, because we got to use our thumbs, right? We got to do our friggin' social media
Fun
and
stuff.
texting and all that shit. So
Yes.
I often joke about the armpits up. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
with the AI age coming, Gala, we're gonna maybe even not even need our armpits. Then we're gonna go to the head up and just I'm gonna think about French fries, and then French fries will be delivered to my front door.
Right. Exactly.
Mhm.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so I know that with the work that you do with women, which you've now been doing for some time, you must have seen all kinds of women from all kinds of backgrounds, all kinds of ages.
Mhm.
Can you give us an example of perhaps an older woman and something that might have really shifted in her life as she worked with you or through some of your program or curriculum?
Well, it's just so many. I can't, I mean, when you
Yeah.
ask me that question, I immediately just have faces and names flashing through my mind. Uh, it's, and quite frankly, it's almost more poignant to watch a woman in her 60s and 70s come and take a class and do a series with me. And when she's doing a certain movement, and I'm going to say a lot of women wake up in the hip circles.
Hmm.
There's a movement called the inverted spine circles. A lot of women wake up there. And when I say wake up, they have the unkinking moment. They have the moment of, holy fuck, I'm so much more than the world has ever seen. So I'm going to talk about a woman named Charlotte who was 78 years old in class with me. She had knee problems, she had hip problems, she had spinal problems. So we had a lot of modifications to work through, and we did. And we got her spine working so beautifully and fluidly that her bone doctor was like, "What are you doing? Because this is amazing. Your spine is looking better and better on X-rays." But she got to a place, and she was married, newly married, about 10 years. Newly married. I'm saying for 78 because at 68 she got married,
Right.
and she went home and she, after working with me for like 6 months, she um, did a lap dance for her husband.
Oh,
And she shared it with class like the week after she did it, and she had put on like music from the 50s, and she was very classy, very elegant, very beautiful older woman. And she didn't have as much ability to move as fully as many of the younger women, but she moved to the fullest ability she was able to,
mm,
and she was encouraged to move more fully than Pilates, than yoga, than any other thing she had done. And when she was doing the hip circles and in class, you could see her whole body get younger. It looked as if she were more like 38 instead of 78 because she was moving so fluidly and fully and she was having fun. She was
Yeah.
playing. So that when she did it for her husband, they had apparently a raucous night that night. Super fun, super sexy. But it was incredibly fulfilling to have watched her very beginning where she could barely move to becoming so fluid in her spine that she felt like she was a 38-year-old.
That's so fabulous.
Yeah.
I love the vision of it and the idea that you can be 78 and giving your husband a lap dance. I just love that so much. But I will say from, attending your retreats and your events, the women that go to those events are so joyful. Like these women are fucking alive.
Yeah. I agree. I agree. And it goes back to what I saw with Charlotte, right? When you allow look, we're female creatures.
Hmm.
We're feminine and we're feminine beings. Our bodies are shaped differently. So that when you are encouraged to and allowed to move in the integral shape of your body, into the integrity of this shape freely, the way your body was designed, it can't help but erupt jubilant happiness throughout your entire being. It's like, oh my God, this is what it feels like to live fully in my body,
Mm,
my heart, in my sexuality, without shame. That's massive. I
yeah.
don't know if you realize, Gala, that's massive. And I've been doing this for 25 years. I thought, oh, it's going to get easier as time goes on. But shame is vicious.
Mm,
Younger women today, in their 20s, in their 30s, it's rampant. The fear they have to come because there's this massive fear that women have about coming to take a class with me or a series with me. And it's an inexplicable fear. And it is the fear that is created by shame. It's being, shame is, Brene Brown has a beautiful quote about it, but the way I take it into embodiment, shame is the chasm that is created by society or by the world that doesn't understand and has such great fear of full embodied expression
mm.
that it creates this chasm between you and your body so that you're kind of living in only like a percentage of yourself, maybe 65% of yourself if you're
Mm,
lucky.
mm. All right. This is my final question, which
Okay.
is, what is something that you thought was important when you were 30 that you now realize has no bearing on anything at all?
That's a great question. What did I think was important in my 30s that I don't think has any bearing now? Anybody else's opinion?
Mm,
Anybody else's opinion? Well, anybody else's opinion that hadn't had life experience. Because wisdom, what my mother gave me, what her mother, wisdom is priceless. We don't listen enough to the wise women who I call queens, to the queens, because people are like in their 30s and 20s calling themselves queens. Babe, you got to earn queen. You
yeah.
got to live some life to be a queen. And these women who are so fully embodied and so fully enlivened, and Bonnie Bainbridge is one of them. I love her so much. She's a somatic woman I follow. To really truly learn, stop listening to all the chatter of people who are the same life stage as you,
Yeah.
and seek wisdom, seek a mentor. Yeah.
Yeah. That's such a great answer. I think expanding our circle, only good things can come from that.
Yeah.
And being in that little echo chamber where everyone believes what you believe and they're your age or younger, what are you
Yeah.
going to learn?
You're just going to keep bouncing the ball back and forth between you.
Right.
You're still not going to find nirvana until you shut it all off. You find wisdom somewhere, But okay, one of the wisest creatures on the planet is your body. And we are second guessing our body left and right. We don't listen to the wisdom of the body. I personify the body as a creature that is separate from your mind. And the body knows how to live this terrestrial life better than any brain, any cognitive thinking. She knows how to smell the difference between ripe, healthy fruit and poisonous fruit. She knows how to taste the difference between spring water and well water on the same plot of land. She knows how to hear the sound and be able to tell the breed and the sex and the age of a bird by the song that it sings. When you awaken your body cellularly, sensually, erotically, emotionally, she is your oracle.
Yeah. So beautiful. Ugh, it's always so thrilling to talk to you because your approach is so different than anyone else that I've met. And it's really necessary. It's very needed. I'm so glad that you do what you do.
Oh, thank you. I'm curious. How is it different?
You are very grounded in yourself, and I think because what you have been doing for so long with listening to the body and really just focusing on that. And, when I've been at S Factor events and I see people moving and you can tell whether they're truly expressing something or if they're just performing or going through the motions,
Mm,
hard-won wisdom.
mm, beautifully said.
Yeah, which I love. So
Mm.
how can people find you? How can they come to your S Factor events? How do we get involved with you?
Okay, so, and this is true of you as well. So once a year, I don't know if so have you seen the documentary?
Oh yeah, multiple times. I love that documentary.
I love it too. So there's a documentary called Strip Down Rise up on Netflix. And in the documentary, I take a class of students through 6 months of a class. So what I found is that people wanted that. So now I offer that. I called Strip and Rise. I offer it once a year. It starts September 7th. I don't know when this is going to air, but whenever it airs, I have a code for you and your audience to
Right.
come in and get a great deal, like a great discount. And I believe it's Gala 2024
Perfect.
that they put in when they're signing out. And come play with me and the teachers for 6 months. It's every Saturday, and I love teaching it. It's incredible. And the growth I see, it's like my brain just wants to explode because it's so profound. And the community that's built global, it's like a global community of women from all over the world. It's very intimate and it's very, very safe, and there's no judgment. I don't allow negative judgment ever. And if that happens, you are asked to leave, because the community we build is a community of the feminine, for the feminine, by the feminine. And I mean that in a primal way. Because in primal times, in hunter-gatherer times, the feminine was the circle of the family. And we kept each other alive, and we kept each other thriving. And what's happened is that we've been divided and separated, and we get catty with each other now in the real world out here, but in the S Factor world, it's a beautiful, safe space.
Yeah, it is. And I can say that as someone who has been to events and retreats, it is a very loving, supportive, deeply encouraging place.
Yeah. Yeah. And Gala, you are my guest. You may be my guest at Strip and Rise this year if you'd like it.
Thank you. I would love that.
Amazing.
It'd be amazing. Thank you so much.
You got it.
Welcome to High Vibe Hotline, the section where I answer your calls.
Can we please talk about the family pressure on women as you get older? How do you handle the objection to an out-of-the-box life and a decision like not having children?
I speak to so many women who have parents or family members that are pressuring them to get married, have children, stay in the same city that they grew up in or whatever. And we have to remember that those people are operating from their own limited frame of reference. Like when people are trying to put you into a category or tell you how life should be lived, that's from their own perspective, and it's because they haven't seen anything bigger that makes sense to them. They're just talking from their own worldview. So even though sometimes we get mad at people when they do that, we just have to understand they're coming from a really small frame of reference. And speaking to that, if you're feeling that pressure and you're starting to feel guilty or full of shame or really conflicted, and you feel like, I either do what they tell me to do and I feel angry about it, or I choose to do my own thing and I get rejected by my family or my peers, then what can really help is to look for examples of people who have done what you want to do, who are happy. Like, who are the women that got older and never had children or never got married and are stoked about it? When we expand our frame of reference, then we can see the possibilities and the potential. And what we want to do no longer seems so crazy or so out of the box. It's just different than what we've been told we should always do. The other thing to really keep in mind is that you are the only person living your life. And no matter what they say you should do or try to guilt you into doing, if those were their dreams, then they should have lived them. And it's not your responsibility to fulfill their dreams for them. Because if you do that, if you go down that path, that's when you wake up in a life that's not your own. You look around and you want to Thelma and Louise drive off a cliff. And I don't want that for you. So in order to live a life that is not full of resentment and bitterness, it's really important to do what you want to do. And you're always going to get blowback, you're always going to get criticism from people, and you just have to do what you're going to do anyway, because no matter what you do, you're going to be criticized. So you might as well be criticized for something that makes you happy. All right, let's take our second question.
What do you really think is the key to staying young and youthful throughout the decades? I know it cannot just be skin treatments. What is the mindset of youth?
Ooh, I love this question. We could really talk about it all day, but other than Botox, which I definitely believe in, I really feel like the secret to staying youthful and vibrant is to stay connected to your dreams and stay connected to the why of your dreams. It's the people who gave up on their dreams that get dried up and hollowed out, and they get miserable and they shrink their lives down, and then they start to wag their finger at people who have the courage to pursue their dreams. Those are the people that we do not want to be like. We want to avoid at all costs. And so if you want to stay young, you need to be plugged into what turns you on, what lights you up, what pushes your creative edges. It is the best youth and beauty treatment that I know of, other than Botox. Now let's do some tapping to be your most powerful, sexy self. Now let's do some tapping on getting hotter as you get older. And if you've never tapped before, it's very easy. You're just gonna follow my movements with my hands and repeat the words that I say. So let's start here on the top of the head. I am getting so much hotter, so much more bodacious, so much more beautiful, and so much more powerful with every birthday. And instead of thinking it's time to go to the grave or wear ugly, shapeless pants or give up on my passions and interests, I'm gonna see every year as a fucking blessing. Because not everyone gets to live this long. And every day that I'm alive means another chance to live my dreams, to push the boundaries, to feel more love, and to create more joy in my world. And I will never take that for granted. I'm ready to be the hottest old lady on the block. I'm ready to be deeply inappropriate in public. I'm ready to embarrass all of the people around me. just because I'm having such a good time. And the best thing about getting older is that I couldn't give a hoot what anyone else thinks. So as I lean into my most powerful era, I'm gonna remember that this is my chance to be everything I always wanted to be. And to be an awesome role model for the people in my life. And so it is. All right, take a deep breath in, hold it at the top, and let it go. If you want to learn more about tapping, come join us at highvibehoney.com.
I'm Lux ATL from Atlanta, Georgia, which may not surprise you. And I'm here to tell you that even though I am obviously fabulous, I'm also 42 years old. And I'm here to tell you today that I'm about to be at it for another 10 or 20 years. And I'm here to teach my friend, who is hit her 40s as well. I think, and in fact, I know from even my own personal experience, that as a young woman, I would think about that number in horror. But yo, turns out I'm still the same person I always was. And I ain't gonna lie to you, I got some wrinkles that I didn't have before. I got maybe a few gray hairs, but you won't see those thanks to my hairstylist. But everything that I ever was, dude, is still here. And in fact, it's only more intense in the best of ways. Because as a younger woman, I had a lot to prove. And I was on the stage as this official hot girl, but I certainly didn't feel that way. I'm at a point in my life now where I can't believe it, but it sounds cliche. I really don't care what people think about me. So I'm gonna teach the homie a little pole flow, and we're gonna have some sexy, sexy times. So thank you for being here. Let's get into it. Now, this is a moment where you're facing your audience and you're gonna kind of put yourself on display. There's a lot of ways that you can do it. I'll give you a demo, okay? Now me, I like to hit them like this, okay? I like to do a head roll. Now, honestly, all I'm really doing is seductively moving my body. There's any number of things you can do, from a hip situation to some infinity hips, to even a bending over and kind of, you know, wagging your tail, to just grooving here, okay? But you're gonna groove, and this is a kind of moment that I like to almost close my eyes to allow my audience to feel that they have the privacy to take me in without me staring them down, okay? So put it together, it would look like this. I'm gonna walk, ooh, I'm living. I'm living, I'm living. Now I'm facing my audience, and I'm going to, ooh, I'm gonna grind. You might even do one of these. Ooh, touch yourself if you want. Okay? Now, from there, we have our first little spin. It looks like this. I'll break it down after I demo.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
So, you're gonna step, you're gonna reach. This guy's gonna go long. And you're gonna make a circle and land. Okay?
Okay.
Try that.
Okay.
You've got it.
Fuck.
Bend the knee. Yes, Gala. That's it.
Okay.
That's it. You know, you and I were discussing this earlier. I thought I would be young forever. What the fuck happened? Okay.
Right. Do you think that aging is something that's unfortunate and happens to other people when you're 25?
Yes.
Yeah.
In fact, I have a diary entry from when I'm 18, and I'm talking about when I'm old at 35.
Yeah.
35 is young to me now, okay? So, in fact, there are things that are changing. There ain't no way to escape the aging, okay? There's lots of ways that you can try, but you can't. What I am determined to do and what I am trying to do right now is to remain active, to remain myself, to not go gentle into that good night. Are you familiar with that poem?
Absolutely.
Yes, to
All
rage.
goths know that poem.
Yes. Yes, to rage against the dying of the light, okay? I don't know when this life will end. I know, however, that sometimes I look in the mirror and I think it sucks that I'm old and my life is over, and put me in the casket. I used to be beautiful and now I'm not, and now I don't matter anymore. And then I remember I thought that at 30.
Yeah.
I did. Literally at 30, I thought I was old and it was too late for me.
Yeah.
And just today, I was having those thoughts, and I thought, you know what, dude? You're as young as you're ever gonna be, A. B, when you were young, you were a hurricane wrecking everything in your path.
Yeah.
And I think that instead, what I want to do is embrace and love who I am right now, imperfections and all. And by the way, I'm mostly the only one seeing them. Do you know, like I tell people, like, do you not even want to have pictures taken of me anymore? Isn't that crazy? Like, because I think I'm too ugly for photos. Is that insane? I think it might be. And then other people are like, what? You're beautiful. So I am at this point in my life where I am on a journey to continue to do things that make me feel like a vibrant woman and not a forgotten relic.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And I think I got another good 20, 30 years of that.
Yeah.
Yes.
At least.
At least, okay? I'm gonna be out here with my walker on the pole dancing.
We were just talking about that.
Yes.
You're gonna have women at your retreats with their Zimmer frames,
Oh yes, baby.
pole dancing in orthopedic shoes,
We already do have women in their 60s and beyond.
which is so awesome.
And they are living.
And here's I feel like those women in their 60s that come to you, they must be in their full no fucks given era. I bet they're like the most inspiring women in the room.
Many of them are, and a few of them are in a place of fear and feeling like that they suck and that they're dead and put them in the coffin. But by the end of the week, they're usually topless in the pool.
Yes.
Yes, yes.
I love that so much.
Yes.
I mean, I remember being a kid and looking at my mother who was 40 and thinking, this seems so old.
Yeah.
But I feel like when I was a kid, 40 was old.
Honey, it was, and they
The
looked a lot
Golden
different.
Girls were 50.
Correctamundo.
Like, that's 10 years from now for you and I.
Can I be Blanche at least?
You know, I named my dog Blanche because she was my favorite Golden Girl.
Yeah, I believe it. And
She was the best.
And like honestly, and I'm about to teach you a couple more little things, but
Yes.
before I do, I also want to say this. I spend a whole lot of time in my life around naked women. It's my line of work.
Yeah.
And I know that me personally, you know, I was a stripper for much of my life. Having a certain kind of body was really important, and a certain kind of face. And I see a lot of naked women. We have in our minds this like certain kind of body that we are supposed to have. Mm-hmm. None of them do.
Nobody has that body.
None of them.
No, they don't.
Even the women who go to great lengths to achieve that through any number of measures, fitness, plastic surgery, any number of measures that you can do to try to obtain that perfection. Mm-hmm. They got stretch marks.
Yep.
You know, they've got something. And so I beat myself up for my body like it's a problem. I really do. I've struggled with this my whole life. I know that you had your own struggle in your youth. But then I see all these other women and I realize that I actually think that maybe 3 people on earth have the body that we're supposed to have, and they're 19 and they're starving.
Yeah.
And so I think that it is good when you can to, let's say, go to a Korean spa where people are traditionally nude. Or come on one of my strip trips. Or any other kind of environment where you can be around other women with a sexy mood, with no expectations of sex, but a sexy vibe, and get to see other actual real human women in action, because it's a real wake-up call that what we are starving for, what we are crying for, what we don't even want a photograph of ourselves for, is something that is literally non-existent outside of Photoshop.
It's true.
It's true.
And the sexiest women, in my opinion, are the women who are just fully inhabiting their body.
Yes.
When you walked over to me and you were looking at me like you had all the joy and vibrancy in the world and you had affection for me, there's nothing more sexy. I wouldn't trade that for a Playboy model.
Yes.
What, like, why?
And we give these allowances for men. And I don't even mean allowances, I mean preferences. What do you really prefer? Look, I got a weakness for hot dudes, I ain't gonna lie. All right?
Yep.
But at the end of the day, the pretty boy jumping off the cliff isn't necessarily the man that's gonna sit next to you for the next 30 years across that dinner table and build a life with you and love you. What I'm looking for in others and what I love in others, I am seeking and on an eternal journey to love in myself. Now, of course, we are pole dancing. This is a realm of my passion. I've been a dancer my whole life. I was a stripper. I grew up in this world and I became good at this, and so I enjoy it. But I think it is also a great way for women to embody a sexuality in a safe space and embody a sexuality that we have been barred from, condemned from, and judged from unless it is for the male gaze.
Or felt like we're not allowed to feel that way about ourselves unless we look like the 19-year-old Playboy model.
Yes.
If you don't have the perfect body, you're not allowed to feel sexy or express that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you're also not allowed to be vain and like, who does she think she is?
Right. So what, we're all supposed to walk around hating ourselves?
Yeah, I think so.
Well, it's a good way to keep us powerless and oppressed.
Indeed.
Right?
And that's why what I love about this medium is that to do it right, you gotta, at least for about 3.5 minutes, believe that you're a bad bitch.
Yeah. So there's a few things that are helping me cultivate confidence in my 40s. One of them is continuing to dress in a way that brings me extreme joy. And whether that means wearing a neon pink outfit to the gym that makes my trainer's eyeballs hurt, or whatever, wearing a big fluffy hat to the supermarket, like that really keeps me feeling just really good about myself. And everybody else sees that too and feels that too, and so you get it amplified back and reflected, which is really beautiful. The other thing is taking creative risks, because when you push yourself, you realize, oh fuck, I'm actually so much more capable than I ever thought. And I always thought I was pretty capable, but no, you can do so much more. And the third thing is loving and falling in love with someone who fully accepts me as I am and is not trying to change me or tweak me or subtly critique me because it makes him feel good about himself. That is the ultimate cheat to confidence.
Well, I think this relationship has been a gift in your life that was long time deserved for you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, to be totally real, you actually have inspired me, what with the dressing and such. Because if you leave it up to me, I will go around looking like a whole hobo. I was recently going to the grocery store in, you know, sweatpants, socks with Adidas slides, you know, a shirt with a hole in it.
Yeah.
And you know what? Like, I feel like a old, ugly bum, dude. Yeah. And you know, who do I have to impress at the Publix? Nobody. But I decided the other day, I said, look, you know, I'm gonna take the 6 or 7 minutes to put on a little lipstick, to wear actual jeans, you know, clothes, not pajamas. In fact, I did that today when I went to the airport. Now, normally, lately, I'd go to the airport looking like a bum. I think for a long time I was resistant against trying to look pretty because it was my job for a long time, and so I was kind of pissed off.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then I had this baby at 40, and that takes over your body in a major way, and it also makes you feel very unsexy. You were never less looked at in your life as when you're a pregnant woman. You are a taken vessel. Men are not interested in a taken vessel. The male gaze is not everything, but it kind of hurts when they don't look anymore.
Yeah.
You know, I spent my whole life thinking, don't look at me, and then they didn't. And so in the last few months or last year, I started pole dancing again, which was one of the great loves of my life. I started trying to look halfway like a human when I go out in public. But beyond the looks, because listen, girl, look, I know we're still pretty, but this shit ain't gonna last forever. Not in the way that we are now.
It's gonna be death becomes her.
Yes.
Soon. We're gonna be spray painting, shellacking that shit.
Pretty much.
Fully blown.
Pretty much. I have depended on my my beauty and my body for so long that it felt like it was the most powerful thing that I had. I find a lot of confidence now in my art.
Yeah.
And putting real work into creating large-scale works of art, you know, what with my podcast, my book. And that makes me feel electric and alive and confident and like I'm not one foot in the grave.
And that we get to age in our own way. We don't have to do what our mothers did. My fantasy is that you are still dancing and leading retreats and making podcasts when you're 85.
Yes, and I think that I will be.
I do too.
And I think that our mother's generation was a very different one.
Yeah.
And no offense, Linda Burton, but when my mother was my age, she looked like a middle-aged woman.
Yeah.
She dressed like a middle-aged woman. She moved through the world as a middle-aged woman. I guess I am technically middle-aged, though it's kind of weird to say that.
Yeah.
But I am not willing to perform a prescribed role for a woman of my age. Instead, I am determined to be Lux ATL, which, yes, is a pseudonym, but that is also me. That's the me that saved my life and that gave me everything. I love her, I appreciate her. My real name is Lindsay, and I got love for that too. But Lux was the one who came in and made something of my life, and I am not willing to relinquish her at this time.
You fought for her, you're not giving her up.
I'm not giving her up. She's too fabulous.
Absolutely.
That's the fabulous me.
That's the thing, we give up the personality, the interests, the style that we fought so hard for.
Yes.
Because we think, oh, I'm too old now. I'm going gray, I have to cut my hair short, I have to XYZ, I have to wear polyester baggy pants. No, the fuck you don't.
You don't.
Says who?
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the only people who think that it should be that way are miserable themselves. They gave it up so long ago and they want other people to give it up too, so they don't feel bad about their choices.
They're hating from outside the club.
They are hating from outside the club.
Yes.
1,000,000%.
Yes.
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 And we're not fucking with them.
I'm not gonna do it, though at times I'm tempted to, because life is hard and exhausting and sometimes you just wanna lay down and give it up. But I've tried that too, and that was a whole lot less fun.
Way less fun.
Yes, and it wasn't restful. It just felt like I was giving up on everything that I'd ever been. Hubba hubba. I do love you, dude.
I love you too.
I really, really do, man.
Thank you.
You're awesome.
You're a champion. I appreciate you so much.
Yeah, feelings
Always.
mutual. Well, you know, every time we're together, I wish that we lived close, because I think that we
know.
would really kick it super hard.
I know. I think so too.
Yeah, but at least we get together maybe once a year or so.
Yeah.
So, yes.
That's good.
Yes, I love you.
Thank you.
Hello gorgeous, I hope that you are loving Vortex Vision so far, and if you enjoy the energy here, you're really gonna love the energy in High Vibe Honey. High Vibe Honey is the biggest and longest running EFT tapping membership in the world. For 6 years, we've been helping creative cuties, self-made entrepreneurs, stay-at-home mums, and everyone in between rewire their beliefs so that they can experience completely different lives. High Vibe Honey is designed to deliver on 3 major concepts: Big Love, Bang and Body, and Billionaire Baddie. If you're looking to attract more aligned partners, love your body so much that you finally feel sexy naked, or manifest doubling your income but nothing is working, this community is for you. High Vibe Honey is actually fun, engaging, and juicy. When the work feels like play, you'll expand faster and look forward to doing it. I have 17 years of experience tapping with thousands of people around the world, which means you're getting the very best guidance, all completely focused on getting you the results you desire. High Vibe Honey's community and live sessions keep you accountable. We don't just leave you to it. Our infamous live sessions and therapist-guided support calls mean you're not doing this alone, because our community is over 1,000 strong. It's seriously one of the most joyful places to be online. If you're interested in High Vibe Honey and you're ready to tap into a life that turns you on, check out highvibehoney.com or follow the link in the description. Wow, talk about finishing with a bang. That episode was so amazing, and I hope that you loved it just as much as I did. I really also hope that it reminds you that you do not have to hang up your stilettos or your interests or your passions or your crazy outfits just because you're 30, 40, 50, 60, or beyond. In fact, I'd kind of like to know who's our oldest viewer. Maybe we could have like a contest or something. But I hope that it inspired you to try something different and be like, I don't have to be a golden girl before my time. I can be if I want to be, but I don't have to be. And that's really freedom, when we get to make those choices for ourselves. We have some really great resources for you at vortexvision.co. And I hate to say it, but this is the end of the season. I hope that it has blown your tits clean off, which it definitely did for me. I've had an absolute blast, and I'd love to hear from you. What was your favorite episode? What was your biggest takeaway? What changed for you as you watched this season? I really hope that it shook up something inside of you to put you in a new state, make new choices, and make feeling good your job. So thank you so much for being here with us. We've had a blast, and we will see you next season. Bye.